Well, welcome into the True Man Podcast. If you're going to live a long, mentally and physically healthy life, and I'm rooting for you, I would hope that you would, it's important to put people in your life and experts, people that have been there, done that. And today I'm going to talk with one of those people. So on today's show, we meet Victor Straw. Now, Victor's leadership development and coaching company, Victory Driven, helps people who want to live a life of victory by mastering resiliency. He teaches coaching and inspires others that there is victory after defeat. And I love that. We call that, of course, a comeback on this show. So Victor's God-given gift for unleashing the strength within his passion for winning are enhanced by his desire to empower others to live their purpose. Victor, welcome to the True Man Podcast.
Thanks, Mike. I'm super happy and honored to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. You know, Victor, we had a chance to speak a couple of weeks ago. And like a lot of men, you know, we had this discussion about, you know, many times we get victory, unfortunately, school of hard knocks, through defeat. And that's kind of the discussion that we talked about, how you got from point A to point B. And so how did you achieve victory out of the jaws of defeat?
Well, how much time do we got, Mike? Because that's going to take a while to answer.
It's going to be a long one. Buckle in.
You know, I guess in a nutshell, it comes from just rising up again and coming back again, learning the lessons and coming back stronger, taking what we've went through and applying that and becoming a better man. Obviously, we learn a lot of lessons along the way. I think we don't get through life unscathed. It doesn't matter.
Boy, that's true.
We all either, you know what, or as the saying goes, we're going into a pickle, we're in a pickle, or we're coming out of a pickle. It's just that's life, and there's no guarantees. And we all have those different battles to fight, whether it's with our health, whether it's professionally, it could be relationally, it could be with our faith. You know, there's many, you know, wars I think that we're going to fight in life. And it's knowing that, all right, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to learn from this? How am I going to grow from this? And how is this going to make me a better man?
Well, tell us about a situation that, and there may be more, I don't know, but tell us about a situation that happened in your story that revealed, I mean, there's probably a scar that came out of it for sure, but it certainly helped develop you. What's a situation that happened to you that really helps you become the man that you are today?
Mike, there's a lot of them. And I guess I'll refer to this one professionally. Little background, I've been in the fitness arena, the fitness industry for 25 years. I worked for a large corporate health club chain for 6.5 years, rose up in a leadership managerial position and figured, hey, I'm making this company a lot of money. It's time for me to go do my own thing. And I felt I've always had that entrepreneur spirit. So I jumped, and I had a personal training studio. I had that for 2.5 years. I sold that. It was nice and profitable. So I'm like, whether it was ego or pride, and I was in my, I think right around 31 years old. And I said, all right, I'm going to go big and let's do this. So I get a couple of business partners, a couple of investors to back me, and I put some money, everything I could, all the chips in myself. And we had this beautiful Taj Mahal type gym. They called us in the community, and it was absolutely gorgeous. We had millions of dollars invested, and we were humming along, making it work for 2.5 years. The recession hit in 2008 and 2009, and I know a lot of people can relate to that.
Good times.
Time for a lot of us. So we hung on till June of 2009, had to close the doors, went through a bankruptcy. Shortly thereafter, I went through a divorce. I lost, we had a beautiful house on 3 acres out in the country. And it was one of those houses I thought, okay, I'm going to live in this house. I'll die here. My grandkids will be here. It'd be one of those things. And I got that repossessed. We had a nice SUV repossessed. I had a Ford F-150. I was in and out of court twice to get that from being repossessed.
What's the time frame that all this is going on? I mean, roughly, because you're throwing a lot out.
Probably all within, I'm saying 18 months or less. I mean, this was all
man.
it was just coming down on me hard. And, a lot of it was, I'm going to blame a little bit, obviously, on the recession, the crisis that we were in as a country, but I'm going to take most of the blame on myself, the lifestyle that I was living, how I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do professionally, how I wasn't abiding in the man that I was trying to live up to personally. I was probably, I'd say, in and out of the church, in and out of my relationship with God. There'd be an itch, I'd want to scratch it. I just wasn't doing the things that I should have been doing.
Were you aware of that during that time frame? Or were you just, I'm living the dream, and now you're trying to figure out how to get out of that hole? I mean,
yes and no. I was certainly aware that I wasn't living according to what I believed, but I felt like, you know what, I'm in a tough spot. I need to do this, or I need to cope with this, or I don't think I really knew. Well, I know I didn't know how to cope with it. So I would do whatever would make me feel better to get through that at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just, again, when you're in a pit, you're digging a hole. What do they say? First thing you do, stop digging. All I did was keep digging.
Yeah, you kept piling it on, right?
Yep, kept piling.
That's a typical, I think this is what a lot of men do, right? You just kind of bury it and hope you don't, maybe by the grace of God, you'll get out of it. But, if you bury it, it doesn't exist, right?
Exactly. And that's what I thought too, Mike, is like, oh, you know what? God's going to reach down and pull me up by the back of the neck and save me, and everything's going to be good. And he's going to put me on the firm place to stand and sort of have that little talk with me and say, all right, Victor, let's get, square your life away. And I thought he was going to come and just rescue me, and everything was going to be good, but it wasn't. I went down with the ship. Financially, I was in ruins. I remember there was nights I slept in my truck, and then I was able. One thing I knew was fitness, and I had to make money. I had 3 very young daughters at the time, and I have to still support them. And through this, obviously, I didn't have any money coming in, so I was way behind on child support then. And it's just, it kept piling and piling up, and I'm like, I can't breathe. What do I do?
Yeah, at the point where you're in the truck, I mean, is that what you just gasping for air?
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. So there was this happened twice. I remember the first time distinct, very, very vividly, is I came home one time. Obviously, my wife is gone at this time. This is my first wife. I'm remarried since, but obviously my daughters are gone. And I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a hunter. I love to hunt. I've got guns and rifles and you name it in my house. So I go and grab my 30-06. I sit on the deck, and we're out in the country. And I remember sat there and just thinking about it. And I think I was sort of in and out of a conversation with God and my purpose and the meaning of life. And so then I just, I put a round in the chamber, and then I took it off safe, and I probably sat there. I don't know, it could have been 2 minutes. It could have been 20 minutes. I don't know what it was. And I'm just like, this is it. This is it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to put this in my mouth, and, and then
what stopped you?
My phone rang, and I grabbed my phone, and this was my brother-in-law at the time. He's my ex-wife's sister's husband. Called me and said, hey, how you doing? He's never called me before that, and he's never called me since. So to me, that was the hand of God.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are you sure who called you?
Right. And he's a super nice guy, but we were never ever like really close or chummy. But so for him out of the blue to call me was like, I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe today's not the day. So
wow.
I put my gun away, moved on. It was like, okay, I got to start doing something. So, that was one of those moments where, all right, you know what, maybe God's not finished with me yet. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I don't, you know, I'm not out of the woods by any means, but you know what, it gave me a breath of hope, maybe a breath of fresh air that, you know what, I can go on again today. And as any addict knows, it's like, we don't have to, how are we going to figure this out for the rest of our life? Just how are we going to win today? All that matters is today. And tomorrow, we'll worry about tomorrow, and the next day and the next day. It's just the whole one day at a time. Hopefully we have a string of 1001 one days, but it's like one day at a time.
So is your brother-in-law aware of this story?
I don't think he is. I don't think I ever told him that.
Wow.
I might have to do that.
Yeah. You got to call him and tell him that's just an incredible story.
Yeah. Obviously that, you know,
so you get through that, and then what? Like, I'm going to go on living and I'm going to try to figure this out.
I got a couple of things happened. I knew professionally, I had to make money fast. I got to get back up on my feet. So I'm a professional in the fitness industry. I know fitness. I ended up opening up a boot camp studio. 90 days later, we had to do first had to get the property and then the construction and everything. And I just, you know, we did a quick turnaround. It's like, all right, I got to start making money. So professionally, things lined up for that to, you know, again, here I'm bankrupt. I've lost everything. A gentleman that, you know, I've worked with his family before. He actually helped. He was one of my investors that helped me get through this time from a professional and financial standpoint. Then the next thing is I don't even know how to this day, again, one of these God moments, how I got on this email list or received this email about this men's conference organization about, you know, basically helping out men, whether it's getting your head on straight or, you know what, overcoming addiction, you name it. So anyways, long story short, I fly down to Atlanta, go to this Friday, Saturday, Sunday men's conference, meet these gentlemen that there's three other guys that this is what, 10, 11, almost 12 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
We talk, text. I mean, if not daily, weekly, often. We get together 2-3 times every year. It's just one of those things where I have other godly men in my life to lock arms with, to help me through those lean times, those down times, those times where I'm questioning my faith or questioning moving on. So it's you know, and again, I can't say that I did anything to make that happen. God intervened on my behalf and brought I did pray for other men. I want other men in my life who I can, you know, be real with and be, you know what, say that I'm struggling with, or I'm having a tough time. And these guys were there, and, you know, and we could confide in each other and just be so honest and so open.
Yeah. How did it feel to all of a sudden have, and I typically use the term oriented men, you know, men that, you know, are a little bit more well-versed and well along, you know, with God and how, you know, that works in their lives. And I mean, I know for me, when I'm around oriented guys like that, it's incredibly powerful. I mean, did you have the same experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a huge breath of fresh air. And again, not, you know, the Christian men that I had in my life up at this point, I mean, they're great guys, but we didn't have that really, probably one, heartfelt connection, probably two, you know, call me out on my bad behavior. And, you know, whether they even knew it or not, or I did such a good job of hiding it for so many years.
Yeah.
So I certainly don't blame them. But, you know, these guys, they're like, you know what, you're a jerk, you're acting like a jerk, you're being a jerk, but I love you because I do the same thing, whether it was to my wife, to my ex-wife, or how I'm acting out in the real life. It's like, you know, guys would call a spade, and I needed that, and I loved it, and I appreciated it.
It's important. I mean, gosh, I've talked about this all the time. It's so important to have that in your life, to have men like that in your life that can mentor you, keep it real. Just keep it real. I think we need that in our lives.
I think more than ever. And I think we've gotten, you know, don't know if we've gotten away from it. I just think it's hard we all have got that mask on, right? We're all trying, we walk into church, you know what? God bless you, brother. How you doing? Great. And then,
I'm fine.
yep, everybody's
I'm
fine.
fine.
And especially guys, I think, we can
Yeah.
cover it up with the best of them. And then especially us, either type A's or the strivers, it's like, you know what, we're good. We ain't got time to go there. Mentally, emotionally, psychologically, we're good. And
Right.
we cover it up. We just cover it up. And to have those other guys, guys that see it from a guy's perspective, and I think that handle it from how we deal with it. Obviously we're going to deal with things different than our wife would, or our girlfriend, stuff like that. So to have that openness and honesty with other men, but even when we fail together, it's just like, none of us have it. We ain't just because, okay, I found God and God's in my life today, everything is perfect from this day forward. It's not. And actually in some of our lives, even there's more pressure on us, and there's more setbacks or times of suffering or dry times. But to say, you know what, I tried and I screwed up yesterday. Here's what happened. To have that openness and honest conversation is incredible.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? I found this. I'd be curious to know if you found this to be the case, but a lot of times the deeper I go with things in my walk, the bigger the battle, right? Like because I have awareness that, we're constantly at war. The devil's constantly at work and trying to antagonize us. That the battle is real. It's there every day. I hit the reset button every morning. And, I think without that awareness, you can really fall into desperate times. And that's where a lot of men land. And then, to God forbid, we allow another man to know that. So, right. So then we pose or we wear a mask, we become a false self. There's all these wonderful sayings that are out there. But that's not real, and that's no way to live. And that certainly makes it difficult to feel alive. And it feels a lot better to be alive, right?
Absolutely. And to know that there's, what, we're not in this alone. We're not going through this suffering alone or dry times alone. And yeah, I agree with you, Mike. I think, that maybe the further we advance in our faith, the more that the pressure's on, or that the enemy's going to try to knock us off or push us down, or whatever the case may be. It's, and that's one of the things I think it's like, life is about overcoming. Life is about overcoming that obstacle, getting out of the pit, making it through that time of suffering or setback or broken dreams. I had this, to go back to this gym that I created, was sort of like the tweener, not a big gym, not a tiny little mom and pop, but it was this tweener gym. And this was going to be how I'm going to make $1 million, a quarter. And I'm going to give, $2 million away every year to the church. And I'm going to do all this great stuff. And God said, no, my dream that was one of my dreams that was shattered. But the man that I am becoming because of this shattered dream, 12, 13 years ago, it's been amazing. And I wouldn't have chose this pathway. I wouldn't have said, okay, this is cool. I'll do this. But it's just, life is hard, but obviously I'm so glad and grateful that I have God, leading the way. But, I don't think I would have made it if there wasn't other men in my life, if he didn't orchestrate some things to happen in my life, to get me out of that, maybe to get me out of my own way.
Well, that's a lot of it, because we're really good at getting in our own way, for sure. So obviously there's great news that spins out of this. You start this gym, you've already said, hey, I'm remarried. So tell us about the good news that has spun out of your second chance, your comeback, your pivot, your whatever we want to call it.
Mike, I'm super grateful for where I'm at today. I remarried. I got, I just had a beautiful, amazing wife who's, still very patient with me as I'm still growing and trying to become what I believe the man that God wants me to be. I have 3 beautiful, wonderful teenage daughters right now. One's in college, 2 are in high school. And, they're all growing up with a heart and a love of God. And, they're they're hard workers, they're smart, good kids. And I think they've seen, the stress, maybe the turmoil, and dad has went through so many, whether it's they might not even see the mistakes that I've made necessarily, but they've seen the struggles, but how I had to, pick myself up, get through this time, heal and grow. And
Yeah.
whether I got to get myself in the word, get myself around other like-minded, men, or, get my alignment. You said the word earlier, alignment, get that right, and then move forward. Because I guess one thing I'd like to see my daughter see is like, life isn't easy. And especially, it's not just because I'm a Christian, life's going to be so hunky-dory and just, unicorns and rainbows. It's not. It's absolutely not. And I think
that was only the case. Yeah.
Right.
And listen, you have daughters. I have a daughter. I have a son and a daughter. And the reality is, and this, I mean, you see this time and time again, the chances of your daughter, finding their soulmate based off who their father was is pretty high. So if you're an oriented man and you're doing, a good father, I mean, the chances are there's a greater success rate that your daughter's going to marry a good dude. And I think as a father, that's important,
That's hugely important. You know what? I mean, I pray about that on a regular basis. And you know what? I want them obviously to meet a young man who has more things in life together probably than I did, at down years ago at that age.
I definitely pray for that.
But being resilient, I think, again, it's no matter what they go through, or whether it's professionally or, climbing the ladder in their careers, whatever that's going to be. It's like, you got to be resilient. You got to work hard. You got to stay the course. We can't, solve it by, taking our life. That's not going to solve any problems. We got to keep going. We got to,
right.
Again, the comeback. We're all going to have numerous comebacks in our life, but it depends, how are we going to respond to this or from this? What are we going to go? How are we going to do this? And where are we going to go? And then we only really know that by just staying connected to God. And we might not even know all the new doors that are going to open. I'm still, navigating some things professionally, but, personally, I love the relationships I have with other men, with my wife, with my daughters, where things are going.
Yeah.
And, it's life. It's
well, so let's talk about this. This is important because I haven't done this enough on the True Man podcast, quite honestly. So you're a fitness guy. My view of this. Okay, truth be told, I had a chocolate chip cookie before I did the podcast. All right, so I got that out of the way. However, I was up early this morning in the gym. I just kind of view this whole thing as, my body is God's temple and it's a rental unit. I always say this. I don't know. It's kind of corny, maybe. It's a rental unit. I got to turn it back in when I'm done. And I really want to turn it back in as, in as good a shape as I possibly can. And so for me personally, and especially, coaching men and being present for men, I feel like that I need to keep myself in as good a shape as I can physically and mentally. And so, fitness has always been a part of my life. I've always been athletic. So it's hard for me to, even though it's sometimes painful, to, go through the whole fitness thing, but it's just an important part about who I am. So let's talk about men and fitness. And I don't even know where to begin with that. You're the expert, but, maybe we should start with your 21 days to victory. How about that?
Yeah, it's, I think fitness is such an integral part of stress relief.
Yeah.
It sort of clears out the cobwebs. It brings us into more clarity in our thinking. It builds resilience in our mindset, which in turn applies to whatever we're dealing with on a regular basis. I mean, I don't, I'm a huge believer in my faith and reading, and we got to keep our mind strong. But I love the fitness side of it because the benefits that it brings to the whole table of our life. So if we can keep, our fitness going on a regular, consistent basis, obviously as we age, we have strikes against us, or it gets
Don't go
harder
there.
to.
Don't go there. I was actually, to believe it or not, this is so funny. For the first time in my life, I'm on my second week of physical therapy. I actually, truth be told, I went for dry needling. They're like, no, we're not doing that right away. Physical therapy on my neck, because I just got one of those knots. It's not coming out. And it's funny how, as you age, those things roll around that much more often. It's driving me bananas.
And it's frustrating too, Mike, because you're like, a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, it's like, I was never an issue. And all of a sudden, you know what? You get up in the morning and I haven't felt that before. That's not right.
That thing's not coming out.
But then again, that's why, even though I was going to say fitness is harder, we almost need to be more committed and dedicated and consistent with it now, in a different format, of course, than when we're in our teens or 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
We have to do, I believe we got to do something every day, 30 minutes of something. And I've created a program. It's called 21 Days to Victory. And it's, experts say we can create or break a habit in, basically it's 21 to, I think the real number is, depending, it's 33 or 34 days, something like that. Everybody's a little bit different. Anyways, the whole point of this program is, in 21 days, you can start creating good habits. You can eat better. You're going to lose quick or weight fast. I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting as well. So just putting there's really 4 pillars into this fitness program to start having quick success, but not having to, I don't have to climb a mountain every day. I'm going to do these 4 things, and then I worry about tomorrow, then I worry about the next day. So it's not a quick fix program. It's a quick start program. And I created this program 10 years ago, and it's sort of one of these things with the pivot from this pandemic, is it lied dormant for so many years. And then, I feel like, hey, I've got this awesome program that I used to do in my gyms and stuff. Now I want to help more people doing it, and I'm selling it online.
What do you think holds people back from just, I don't know. So many people are unfit. They're just unfit. What do you think holds people back from wanting to take good care? Listen, I don't want to go to a hospital if I don't have to. And I'm talking now or down the road. Why do I work out like I do now? So I can live a longer, healthier life. And it seems like people are so short-sighted on that. Like they turn 60 and like, yeah, I'll give up smoking now. Well, you know what? Probably too late, pal. All of a sudden you retire, you're going to start working out. I don't know. What do you think holds people back?
Yeah, another good question, Mike. I think, well, first of all, it's never ever too late. Again, if I don't do it until I'm 60 or 70, I'm like, at least you're doing it now, which is great. I think this is just my opinion. I think it's easy for us to get into a rut that is not serving us. And then we get stuck in that rut, and then we can get lazy, and then we can easily talk ourselves out of it. And, if the body's going to follow or do what the mind says. So if I just continually, think these lazy thoughts or thoughts that don't serve me, and I'm just going to go do this, our body's going to follow us right there.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I believe it starts in the mind. If I can tell, discipline my mind. And again, take baby steps. I don't have to be huge steps. If I take a baby step every single day, but I'm slowly climbing that staircase, I'll get there. I think it can be a little bit overwhelming in the beginning. Let's say I got to lose 60 pounds. Day 1, it's okay. Day 2, it's okay. Day 3, I'm really, really sore. We all have heard it before. By day 7, we're like, forget it. This is too hard. It's just, we just tend to come out of the gates a little bit too strong then. So, I think we can be our own worst enemy. Like, I think a lot of things in life, we get in that rut and we stay there, or we just dig ourselves deeper, or we bite off way too much we can chew, or we hit that first brick wall or two, and then we're like, I ain't got it in me anymore. This ain't worth it. It's just been a lot in life. And then I think we throw in the towel. So which is
Well,
unfortunate.
so let's just make up a make believe client here. So average guy, maybe around 40, 55 ish, that they haven't done much athletically. And I agree with you. I mean, you got to chunk these things down. We try to do too much at once. I mean, how do you start somebody out that probably needs to lose, in that 50, 60 pound range that hasn't been doing much? I mean, how do you start somebody out small to help them gain that momentum?
It depends on where they're at, but I might go really, really small. Like if they haven't, walked around the block in years, I mean, they're obviously first, it might
Right.
be, let's walk around the block. I mean, and it could be, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes today. And then next week it's going to be 7. Then we're going to be up to 11. It's baby steps is really a big part of what I do. And then it's, tweaks on the eating. I mean, obviously nutrition is huge. I believe in looking at your protein, your fiber, and then your water are my main 3 indicators that I tell my clients. It's like, you know what, we're going to eat a salad a day. That's it. I don't want you to worry about everything else. So fiber is a salad a day. Water, it's, give or take 100 ounces of water per day. And, if someone doesn't drink water and if they hit 40 ounces for their first week, that's good. Next week, we're going to go to 50. So, and then protein, if there's one macronutrient that I like to have my clients calculate or tabulate, it's the protein grams. So I'll have guys shoot for about 125 grams and women it's 100 or just under 100. And I look at that and, so those are the big things. Now you put intermittent fasting on top of that and you have a really good outline for having quick success. Your body will respond. One of the things with water is I think most of us don't drink nearly enough water. And it's one of those things that I say it all the time where I get tired of hearing myself say it. And I know my clients get tired of me saying it to them, but it detoxifies, it flushes, it cleanses. It's so good for, our muscles, our hair, our skin, our nails, our digestive tract, everything. And it helps us lose weight. It's such a simple thing, but
because it keeps us full, right? That's the whole objective. I tell you, I cannot drink enough water. I've noticed that definitely the older I get, the more hydration I need. That's why this Friday morning after St. Patrick's Day is dangerous if I don't drink a lot of water leading up to Thursday night celebration of St. Patrick, right?
So drink as much as you can beforehand.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big one for me. That's definitely something I've noticed, that hydration it is absolutely huge. This whole intermittent fasting thing, I tell you what, this is coming up. I feel like maybe God's tugging on me a little bit because this conversation is coming up all the time. How do you help people on that whole nutrition thing of intermittent fasting? I'm fascinated by it. I don't know if I have the willpower to do it. I'm trying to discern if I do.
You do, Mike. You could do it, and I started in a small. Our first week together, we do a 12 hour of a fasting window, and then a 12 hour of an eating window, meaning you can only eat within this 12-hour window. Now, typically, people are almost doing that anyways. I mean, let's say you sleep for, I guess it depends how much you sleep, 7-8 hours a night. There's 8 hours there, and you get 2 hours on the front end, 2 hours on the back end. That should get you close to 12 hours. So usually that first week, it's not too bad. Now, the second week, we kick up to a 14-hour. Some people struggle with it. Some people no problem. And it's just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit to try to just eat in the shorter window and then fast for that 14 hours. This is where it's like, okay, fuel your mind, keep your body active, drink water. And I let,
Right.
you can have tea or black coffee is fine. But, this is again, I'm going to go back to, the suffering that my wife says I say the word suffering too much because she thinks I like suffering, and I'm like, I don't like it. It's just you only get anywhere in life is if you suffer or you go through tough times. Same thing with losing weight. And then when we get to the 16-hour window, it's like, okay, I have a 16-hour fast. I can only eat in these 8 hours. now your body has to suffer. But when it's suffered, that's when it grows. That's when that's when you make progress. That's when your body will utilize your fat for energy. And that's where we get where we're trying to get going. It's not going to come easy.
So as we begin to wrap up today, I have to point this out. So if you're watching the video on YouTube, you will be keenly aware, maybe not, I am, because my Vince Lombardi picture is sitting on my desk. Yours, Victor, is currently hanging on the wall over your left shoulder. And I love that. Can you believe that I knew that? Yet there he is right there, Mr. Coach Vince Lombardi. Yes.
Love him. Love him. Go Pack,
great.
Go.
Yeah, great. It's a great quote. And, I always enjoy, of course, having a fellow Packer on the, I don't even know that you might be the first Packer fan on the podcast. I don't know.
We might have to change that, Mike. Let me give Aaron Rodgers a call and see if we can.
Oh, do you know Aaron? Now, Aaron and I would probably have a very interesting conversation on a number of fronts. How about Brent Favre? Now that I could go for some. I like me some Brent Favre now.
Oh, we love Brett Favre, and my wife loves Brett Favre a little bit too much. I tell her that, but we're big Brett Favre fans. Obviously, grew up with him, and then now we got Aaron Rodgers. Everybody says you guys are over in Green Bay are spoiled. You've had, two great quarterbacks back to back, and like, well, we'll ride this as long as we can, right?
Well, I'm a shareholder, so I got that going for me. I have one share of Green Bay Packers stock. I'm very proud of that, and maybe sooner or later I'll get that thing hung up on my new office walls here. Hey, Victor, before we leave the show today, how can people get a hold of you? And is there a final nugget you may want to leave everybody with?
Probably the best way to get, I'm on LinkedIn. Otherwise, my website is victorstraw.com. And then you can email as well as victor@victorstraw.com if you like. Otherwise, I guess my final nugget is, that's a really good question. If I put it in one sentence, Mike, or one thought is, I would say, the end of your book, you're not at the end of your book yet. You're not at you're not reading the last chapter right now. And there's so many times in my life I thought, okay, this is it. I'm done, or whether I'm going to go take my own life, or it can't get any worse than this. And I'm just going to quit. I'm going to give it all up. You're not at the end yet. You're not at the end yet. And I believe He has the final say. We don't. So the more we can follow him, stay close to him, whether it's through other men and organizations and anybody to help keep steering us in the right direction, but it's not over yet. There's another comeback in your story, in your life. Yeah. There's another chapter to be written. There's another pivot to happen. There's always greener grass. And as much as we want to say, this is it, I've had it, there's always time. And I don't know, I adamantly believe God gives us beauty for ashes, as he says in his word, but we got to just keep him first, keep following him, and your future, what you have in front of you, you will be amazed at what it is.
Well, that's awesome. That's a great way to end. I'm sure Coach Lombardi would be very proud of you for leaving us with that. I know he would be. So, Victor, thanks for being on the show today. We really appreciated you being honest and open and telling your story and learning a little bit about fitness.
Well, Mike, again, honored and grateful that you had me, and thanks for having me here today.
You bet. Glad to have you. Take care.
All right. Thank you.